This will be something we could never have imagined. The deep state is destroying our nation, but the tables must turn and we will quickly destroy the deep state. We know where the bodies are buried. There are a lot of people out there that have done some very, very evil things, very bad things, I would say treasonous things against our country. People that have done such harm to our country. I've been looking at them for a long time. You could order the investigation and prosecution of individuals who he sees as enemies. Put them all in jail where they belong. You gotta get tough and smart, and you have to fight fire with fire. You can't allow this to go on. And I will be the one to clean it up. I am your retribution.
What is up, guys? Tyson Dela Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. If you're catching this on the live, come on in. Shout out to everybody watching. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Definitely helps with the YouTube algorithm. Shout out to everybody catching this on the live. Come on in. If you're catching this on the replay, type in replay in the comment section down below. And as always, there's a continuous rolling theme here. I'm going to go ahead and place the timestamps in the description down below if you're catching this on the replay. Shout out to everybody in the live chat. What is up? Today is Tuesday, March 25th, 2025. Can you believe it? Already March 25th, 2025. Holy smokes. Then it's going to be April. Then Halloween decorations are going to be out soon. Then Thanksgiving, then Christmas, then 2026, and then taxes are due again. Holy tamale. Shout out to everybody in the chat, by the way. I know I already said it. I want to give a huge shout out to all the mods in the chat. What is up with the mods? And I want to give a huge shout out to everybody catching this on the live. And also, if you're catching this on the replay, you get kudos too. You get the kudos too. Hope everybody's Tuesday is doing absolutely amazing today. Let me get a quick roll call. What's up, Steph? What's up, Terry? What is up, Michael? Jax, what's going on? Stacy, Colleen, Donnie. Hope everybody's doing amazing today. Tuesday. Boy, oh boy, it is heating up in Las Vegas. We're going to jump into the stories here shortly. Let me just make sure that my notifications are off on my phone. But it is heating up in Las Vegas. It was like 87 degrees out here. Crazy. It is getting hot up in here. All right. We got some stuff to rock into. We got this leak scandal. I was going to say butt leak, but it's not a butt leak. We got this crazy signal leak scandal going on. We're going to jump into those topics today. We got CNN absolutely losing their mind off of this. At the end of the day, it is I think it's a hoax. I think it's a ploy. I think it's a scandal. Speaker Mike Johnson issues a warning to Congress about his authority. Trump pardoned somebody. Declassified Crossfire hurricane files were declassified. He signed a memo today. Trump says 25% tariffs on countries that buy Venezuelan oil, and some data, some interesting data that we're talking potential recession, but we already know what's going on there. Elon Musk still continuing to drain the swamp like it is a clogged kitchen sink. And then we have some funny stuff to wrap up the show. Let's jump in. Aloha, Stacy. She says, aloha, Tyson. Aloha. I love Hawaiian culture. I love Hawaiian people. I love Filipino people. I love all people, but the Hawaiian culture, if you have not been to Hawaii, whew, you are missing out. The culture is so cool. I got a quick story because Stacy reminded me of that. She said, aloha, Tyson. And I remember I was in Hawaii. It was in Waikiki. And I rented a car. I was driving on the freeway. Somebody cut me off. And then they just did this. And it made it all better. It made it all better. He cut me off pretty abruptly, too. But then he sticks out his hand and then he goes, brada. Anyways. Hola, Tyson. Little Santana. What is up? Donnie says, winning. Are we tired of winning? We are not. We are not. Much love from Missouri. Ronnie says, go President Trump. Let's go. Let's go. Diana Rhodes, first timer. Shout out to Diana Rhodes. Thank you so much for catching the live. Really appreciate you. Roster Blues, cigar box guitars. Wow, that is a mouthful. I love it though. It is a psyop to chase down bad people on the inside. Yep. We're gonna go in through some of these news. Let's Donnie says it's only a butt leak if you're talking about Timmy Tampon Walls. Oh man. All right. We got Pete Hegseth. All right. Yesterday, this video was sent to me. I haven't watched a majority of these, so but I was reading the articles on these. But Pete Hegseth, this signal situation leaked about Houthi plans and all this stuff. And here is what Pete Hegseth had to say yesterday. Check this out.
How your information about war plans against the Houthis in Yemen was shared with a journalist in The Atlantic, and were those details classified?
You're talking about a deceitful and highly discredited so-called journalist who's made a profession of peddling hoaxes time and time again, to include the hoaxes of Russia, or the fine people on both sides hoax, or suckers and losers hoax. So this is the guy that peddles in garbage. This is what he does. I would love to comment on the Houthi campaign because of the skill and courage of our troops. I've monitored it very closely from the beginning. And you see, we've been managing 4 years of deferred maintenance under the Trump administration. Our troops, our sailors were getting shot at as targets. Our ships couldn't sail through. And when they did shoot back, it was purely defensively or at shacks in Yemen. President Trump said, no more. We will reestablish deterrence. We will open freedom of navigation, and we will ultimately decimate the Houthis, which is exactly what we're doing as we speak from the beginning, overwhelmingly.
Why were those details shared on Signal, and
What's up,
how did
Ricardo?
you learn that a journalist was privy to the targets, the types of weapons used? And
I've heard I was characterized. Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that.
Right,
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Pete Hegseth jacked up on caffeine, getting aggressive with the reporter. My man was jacked up. Nobody's doing nothing. Oh man. Ricardo in the house. What is up, Ricardo? What is going on? Oh, Pete. Meanwhile, Pete's over there flinching at reporters. Tulsi Gabbard's getting grilled. Tulsi Gabbard gets grilled over these intel leaks on Signal. First off, I don't know why they're still using Signal, but we'll discover that here shortly. Coincidentally enough, it was a passover from the Biden administration using Signal, but Tulsi Gabbard getting a little grilled here. Was Pete Hegseth jacked up on caffeine or what? Yeah, little Santana says, Pete looking a little too cranked up for me. Yeah. Yeah. Stacey says, this is so dumb. I guess we forgot about Hunter Biden's laptop, Operation Crossfire, Hurricane, and Hillary and Obama and all this other stuff. And then they're talking about Pete Hegseth and Mike Waltz needs to resign immediately. Come on. But this is in the news, so I'm graciously reporting it. But listen, again, with the bull crap with Tulsi.
To what I addressed at the outset. I mean, this was not only sloppy, it not only violated all procedures, but if this information had gotten out, American lives could have been lost. The Houthis had this information, could reposition their defensive systems. So I want to get a little more information about this. Director Gabbard, did you participate in the group chat with Secretary of Defense and other Trump senior officials discussing the Yemen war plans?
Senator, I don't want to get into the specifics.
Ma'am, were you on? You're not going to be willing to address. So you're not, are you denying? Matt, will you answer my question, ma'am?
Listen, okay, I have to pause it. Hold on. I had to pause this because he asks a question and then she is about to answer it and then he interrupts her. This is what they did in her confirmation hearing also. This is what they do with anybody that's associated with Donald Trump.
You were not TG on this group chat?
I'm not going to get into the specifics.
So you refuse to acknowledge whether you were on this group chat?
Senator, I'm not going to get into the specifics.
Why are you going to get into the specifics? Is it because it's all classified?
Because this is currently under review by the National Security
Because
Council.
it's all classified? If it's not classified, share the text now.
As the White House previously
Is it classified or non-classified information on this text?
I can confirm.
Director Radcliffe, were you on the group chat?
Senator, I was on a signal messaging group.
So you were the John Radcliffe on that chat?
I was.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I provide some context, Senator, to that?
Yes, but I've got a series of questions.
Well, but I think it's important because at the outset, you made a couple of comments about signal messaging using encrypted apps. So that we're clear, one of the first things that happened when I was confirmed as CIA director was signal was loaded onto my computer at the CIA, as it is for most CIA officers. One of the things that I was briefed on very early, Senator, was by the CIA records management folks about the use of signal as a permissible work use. It is. That is a practice that preceded the current administration to the Biden administration.
Director Radcliffe, I've got a series of questions. If you're making the statement, if you're making the statement, the signal is a secure channel.
This is ridiculous. Stacey says this dude, old fossil guy, he wouldn't stop, wouldn't let her say anything. These crypt keepers need to retire. They fart dust. And he's explaining what the situation, and he's like, no.
No. Can I answer that? It is
I've got a series
end-to-end decryption. So
it is. I understand encryption.
It is permissible to use to communicate and coordinate for work purposes, provided, Senator, that any decisions that are made are also recorded through formal channels. Right. So those were procedures that were implemented. My staff implemented those processes, followed those processes, complied with those processes, and finally, just please. So my communications, to be clear, in a signal message group were entirely permissible and lawful and did not include classified information.
Well, we will make that determination, because if it's not classified, share the text with the committee.
For what?
Let me go on. Director Gabbard, you are the security executive and set access guidelines for classified information. Did you contact the defense secretary or others after this specific military planning was put out and say, hey, we should be doing this in a SCIF?
There was no classified material that was shared in that.
So then if there was no classified material, share it with the committee. You can't have it both ways. These are important jobs. This is our national security. bobbing and weaving and trying to, filibuster your answer. So please answer the question. If this was Director Gabbard, if this was a rank and file intelligence officer who did this kind of careless behavior, what would you do with them?
Senator, I'll reiterate that there was no classified material that was shared in that.
And if there's
signal.
no classified in materials, share. And then if there's no classified materials, then you can't even answer the question whether you're on the chat. This is strangely familiar, and I think my colleagues will remember when you couldn't answer the question, is Edward Snowden a traitor?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. William O3 says they're not talking about classified information. William O3 says this wasn't war plans. We're not at war. This guy just keeps drilling Tulsi Gabbard. Dude is annoying. He also talks through his lips. That's what Steph says. Ricardo says, man, I would get medieval on this nerd. Yeah, Tulsi Gabbard, no, she's looking at him. She's like, dude, I'll take you down quick. But cool, calm, and collective on Tulsi Gabbard. They're trying to spin it like Trump's pulling a Reagan. Terry says ABC, NBC, CBS, NPR, all the same BS. For the love of dogs, the outrage is rich coming from a party. Benghazi, 3,000 emails bleached pit and actually colluded with Russia with a fake dozer. Yeah, this is crazy ridiculous, and the leftist legacy media is covering this bananas. Caitlin Collins, of course, asked Donald Trump when they had their President Donald Trump defended National Security Advisor Mike Waltz during an ambassador meeting today, on Monday. His administration faces fierce backlash over recent signal chain.
Safety protocols? Grainger has the safety pros to call. Shop our vast inventory of safety products.
Donald Trump also said that Mike Waltz doesn't need to apologize for anything. I don't think he should apologize. He's doing the best that he can. And again, the Signal platform was pushed over from the Biden administration. Is this going to play? It's not going to play. It's not working with me today. Yeah, go Tulsi, Ronnie says. Another person with annoying lips, Caitlin. Oh, man. So Trump said Mike Waltz doesn't need to apologize for anything. He's doing the best that he can with what he has, with the tools and resources that he has available.
Practices that your national security officials used after a reporter was inadvertently added to a group chat about attacks on Yemen?
Well, I think it's a question I've been asked now, and I've given a few answers, and they've all been the same. We have an amazing group. Our national security now is stronger than it's ever been. We have had a very, very successful, numerous attacks on that area. These are people that shoot down ships. Not only our ships all over the world, they're shooting down right out of the water and damaging them badly, or they're going down. They're also shooting anything that happens to be flying in the area. We hit them very, very hard. There was no classified information, as I understand it. They used a app, if you want to call it an app, that a lot of people use, a lot of people in government use, a lot of people in the media use. And I think I'll ask Mike. Mike is here. Do you want to respond to that, please?
Yes, Mr. President. You asked about lessons. I think there's a lot of lessons. There's a lot of journalists in this city who have made big names for themselves, making up lies about this president, whether it's the Russia hoax or making up lies about Gold Star families. And this one in particular, I've never met, don't know, never communicated with. And we are We are looking into and reviewing how the heck he got into this room. But I'll tell you what, the world owes President Trump a favor. Under Biden, global shipping was shut down. Pinprick attacks, months between them, our destroyers being fired upon dozens of times. President Trump took decisive action with his national security team, took out the head missileer, knocked out missiles, knocked out headquarters, knocked out communication sites. And for once, as we hear, as you all hear from every one of our allies, thank God for American leadership again. Thank God for American strength. You're welcome.
It's another bullcrap hoax. Leaked. The Atlanta leaked. Shout out to Jax for the super chat. Thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate you. Where's my cheers at? Here it is right here. He says, this is a distraction. Yep. It is. What is up my mind? Terry mentioned that he won't make it in politics, period. I've got too much anger. I have too much of an anger problem. Stacy says the way they're going at them, it's like they're talking down to them. And that is what they do. That is what these crooked politicians, presumably crooked politicians, I got to say that for the YouTube purposes, say and speak to the Trump administration and everybody on the Trump team. Little Santa says Trump is excellent on his feet. The man deserves credit and a lot of it. 100%. If you just think back, this guy has been through the ringer since 2016, since he walked down the stairs and announced his presidential candidacy. This guy has been through the ringer. Shout out to Stephanie for the super chat. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for the super chat. Please like for the free admission. She says, best chat. Yes, it is. It is the best chat on YouTube. Hands down. I think so. 100%. Shout out to Stephanie for the super chat. Thank you so much. This is a definite distraction to what is actually going on here. And Trump addressed this. He addressed this and directly called it fake news. Donald Trump is asked to react about the signal messaging being sent to Atlantic about military strikes in Yemen. He says, fake news. It's fake news.
Your reaction to the story in the Atlantic that said that some of your top cabinet officials and aides had been discussing very sensitive material through Signal and included an Atlantic reporter for that. What is your response to that?
I don't know anything about it. I'm not a big fan of the Atlantic. To me, it's a magazine that's going out of business. I think it's not much of a magazine, but I know nothing about it. You're saying that they had what?
They were using Signal to coordinate on sensitive materials and
having to do with what? Having to do with what? What were they talking about?
With the Houthis.
The Houthis? You mean the attack on the Houthis? Well, it couldn't have been very effective because the attack was very effective. I can tell you that. I don't know anything about it.
This guy is sharp. Donald Trump is a sharp fellow. Trump not planning to fire Waltz after national security, quote unquote, chain leak. It's crazy that this is even being brought up. What's up, Fetus? Fetus in the house. Fetus and Phyllis. Phyllis and Fetus in the house. Trump not planning to fire Waltz after national security chain link. Trump is not planning to fire National Security Advisor Mike Waltz in the wake of the Atlantic reporting an apparent national security breach. Golly. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt released a new statement on Tuesday today, March 25th. National Security Council earlier said the Atlantic report referenced what appeared to be an authentic chain. Senior White House officials earlier revealed Fox News how Goldberg may have been added to the chain with the cabinet members. Let's jump into this.
I like your style, Lawrence Jones. Thank you for your partnership. Thank you for your
telling people that he that would be
Trump team accidentally
a journalist to a group chat like that would be consistent with that promise.
I don't think that's what they meant.
Right. But I have heard that Mike Waltz is telling people that he has no idea how this happened. He has never met Jeffrey Goldberg. He has never spoken to Jeffrey Goldberg. So if the story is that Jeffrey Goldberg is invited by Michael Waltz to this group that the NSC says is a real chat group, they looked at it. They said this is a thread that they think is all legitimate. Pete Hegseth, though, claims that there were no war plans shared. But Mike Waltz says he has no idea how this happened. And he is saying that Signal, the encrypted messaging app, is allowed at various government agencies. And we looked it up. There is guidance for highly targeted individuals to use end-to-end encrypted software like this, free apps, Signal, WhatsApp, to try to avoid being hacked.
Right.
So
wow. So Peter, that's fascinating. So you're saying that you have learned it's okay for government officials to be using Signal?
Yeah, we pulled a.
Yeah, I don't know if this Atlantic reporter was added on through some crooked source inside the administration or whatever. What is up, Catherine? But, I'm sure they're going to talk to Elon. Elon's going to whip up a new communications app. I'm sure of it. He's going to whip up something pretty quickly because they're already looking to create a unified government speaking system where they can speak regarding the checks that go out to Social Security and all this other stuff. So I'm sure Trump's like, hey, just add it onto Elon's plate. Jessica Velasquez says, nobody is perfect. They are still the best cabinet ever. Yes, 100%. 100%. Shout out to Michael Anthony for the super chat. Thank you so much for the super chat. Truly appreciate you. Tesla up 24% since Monday. This is huge. Don't report, distract. Yep. They'll definitely report if Tesla's down 26%, 24%, but they won't report if it's up 24%. What is up, Ann? So what if they discuss, Sveta says, so what if they discussed was classified? Wouldn't that mean that the reporter is in a lot of trouble? Yes, because the reporter leaked the information to the Atlantic because he works for the Atlantic, but he reported it to other outlets as well. The Dems have nothing. They have nothing. Jasmine Crockett is over here calling people in wheelchairs Hot Wheels. Maxine Waters is over here calling for the deportation of Melania Trump. They don't have anything. They don't have any solid leadership. I just read before I jumped on this live that the DNC more than likely dropped Harry Sisson. Not that that matters. Great. But there was leaked information regarding the payroll, who AIPAC pays. And guess who was on that list? Harry Sisson. Harry Sisson. Trump reveals who was behind the Signal leak chain. Donald Trump revealed that a staffer with National Security Advisor Mike Waltz office included the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic in the Signal group chat. Oof.
For us in New York, Ashley, thank you. Let's bring in retired Army veteran, Black Hawk helicopter pilot, and battalion commander, Lieutenant Colonel Darren Gabb. Colonel Gabb, great to have you on the show. So when the defense secretary saying, quote here, I think we are making a mistake talking about the attack. There is a real risk that the public doesn't understand this or why it's necessary. I mean, a lot of people have said, don't you want your VP to give an honest assessment of what he feels? If you're weighing in, weigh in.
Of course. And if this is all true, as advertised, I would want a VP that would challenge the president and say, hey, are we really doing the right thing? And then that national security apparatus could weigh in themselves and say, and make their arguments. We don't need everybody scared to share an opinion, basically. In the end, when the decision is made, everybody gets behind it, so everybody is successful, the best they can be, and our troops are able to execute their mission. But I don't think we should be afraid of debate. Now, most of this stuff does go on behind closed doors, and that's where it should remain. So there's nothing here that I see that really truly concerns me.
I think robust debate is always a good thing. I've got to go here, Colonel, but Politico writes this, quoting tonight, Waltz's future, talking about the National Security Advisor, is in doubt following accidental war plan leak. Do you think...
Of course, this is a headline from Politico. What's up? Compra casa directo.
There will be a hit. Do you think somebody will go because of this? I've got 15 seconds.
Yeah, we'll find out. It depends on what was leaked and how much of the detail and what the investigation results in. But we'll all be waiting, I guess, for that answer.
Yeah, Lieutenant Colonel Darren Gabb.
Catherine says they're being hypocritical about this leak. They purposely leaked information, and that's been proven. Facts. At the end of the day, that's just what it is. Pushing bullcrap agenda. Jessica Velasquez says that reporter from The Atlantic lacks integrity. Agreed. Yeah, I know. I know it's you, Danny. Nobody has a username like that except for you. Oh. I think this is the last one on this Signal leak, and then we'll move on.
One of the first things that happened when I was confirmed as CIA director was Signal was loaded onto my computer at the CIA, as it is for most CIA officers. One of the things that I was briefed on very early, Senator, was by the CIA records management folks about the use of Signal as a permissible work use. It is. That is a practice that preceded the current administration to the Biden administration.
The Biden administration. Like I said earlier in this video, it's a pushover app from the Biden administration. Elon's probably cleaning it up already. He'll have a new app, a new communication system. Quick. And global BS agendas. This is bananas to me, because there was no classified information. It's just a communication app. Anyways, shout out to everybody in the chat. My girl Tulsi, first president of the United States, won. Yeah, Tulsi's a great pick for 2028, maybe even beyond. Speaker Mike Johnson issues a warning to Congress. It appears that Speaker Mike Johnson finally woke up to threats by radical left judges. It's been a constant thing over the past couple of weeks, taking over the White House and executive branch of the government. Johnson on Tuesday warned that Congress has the authority to defund. This is imperative. Congress has the authority to defund these radical leftists who are running legal insurrection against the country today.
Happening right now that has not happened before. In the last 100 years, listen to this, 67% of the injunctions issued against a president were issued against one president alone, and that's Donald J. Trump. 67% of the injunctions over the last 100 years. Okay, that's a problem. 92% of those were issued by judges who were known or accused of being partisan, Democrat appointees to the court. So that something that unusual is happening, something that is out of the norm. It is a dangerous trend, and it violates equal justice under law, that critical principle. It violates our system itself. It violates separation of powers when a judge thinks that they can enjoin something that a president is doing that the American people voted for. That is not what the founders intended. So there's a natural tension between the branches of the government, and we're working through that. The Judiciary Committee is looking at alternatives. One of the bills that I really like that's already been through committee was authored by Representative Darrell Issa, and that would limit the scope of federal injunctions, the ability of one individual judge to abuse the system in this way. And it would be, in my view, a dramatic improvement on that. So we'll be moving, I think, that piece of legislation and some others to address it, because we have an Article 1 authority under the Constitution to do that. We do have authority over the federal courts, as you know. We can eliminate an entire district court. We have power funding over the courts and all these other things. But desperate times call for desperate measures, and Congress is going to act. So stay tuned for that. Thank you.
Sounds like a little bit of a threat here. It sounds like a threat. Todd, why hasn't he disciplined Crockett? Jasmine Ghetto Crockett. Jeez, I don't know, Todd. I'm not sure, but she needs to be disciplined 100%, especially after today's stent. She should lose her wig. Did you guys see Judge Joe Brown? Judge Joe Brown, this isn't on the docket, but Judge Joe Brown just absolutely demolished Jasmine Crockett and her weave and her eyelashes. DNC, dishonest numbskull corporation. Crockett has threatened 2 people, senator and an employee of Doge. Something needs to happen to her. And she's got that ghetto attitude. She's got that ghetto front going on. Somebody says, I still don't trust, where was it at? Oh, Little Santana, I still don't trust Speaker Mike Johnson. He's coming around. He's coming around, at least in my personal opinion. At least in my personal opinion. He's coming around slowly. Stacy writes, I think he's okay. I wouldn't place all my cards on him, but at least he's connected to Trump when Trump wants it. And I think that's the key there. And I think there's a little game of chess going on. I think there's some chess. Trump's playing him. He's playing, it's kind of going back and forth. And I think Trump is utilizing him as a tool. Trump is an optimist. Ricardo Freedom says, pretty obvious the Dems are scared of DJT. Yep, 100%. We saw this with the allegations, with the Russiagate, all this other stuff, the invasion of privacy in Mar-a-Lago. And we still don't know what happened with Thomas Crooks. Jessica Velasquez says, Jasmine's wig is too tight. Oh, I really think they got some traction with this scam hoax. They try harder at destroying the administration than helping Americans. Yep. And that kind of goes with Todd's point. Jasmine Crockett talking all this ghetto stuff, using slang, trying to get the black votes and all this other stuff. But she's openly stated that she doesn't have any policies to back up what she's doing. She's just talking hood to get votes. Stephanie writes, I think Crockett is a younger Waters. Yep. If she keeps on following that path, she's definitely a young Waters. I never noticed this. Her lashes are always crooked. I've never noticed it. I've never looked at it like that. Oh man. If we could get Kennedy and Joe Brown talking, it's live for it. Yep. Yep. President Trump is a wrecking ball for the deep state. Absolutely. Don't forget to smash that like button. If you kindly would, it does help with the YouTube algorithms. All right. We got this was an interesting story. This was an interesting one. Trump pardons ex-Hunter Biden business partner. President Donald Trump pardoned Hunter Biden's former business partner, Devon Archer, on Tuesday. Trump signed a pardon on Tuesday saying that Archer was a victim of a crime and treated very unfairly. Archer had been facing a year and a day in prison for his role with defrauding a Native American tribe and other clients by fraudulently issuing and selling over $6 million worth of bonds. Interesting.
First, we have a pardon for Devon Archer. Devon Archer was a former business partner of the Biden family. He's was prosecuted relating to a fraud investigation, but notably, the tone and tenor of that prosecution changed dramatically after he began to cooperate with congressional investigators and serve as a witness against Hunter Biden and the Biden family. We believe that was an injustice, and therefore we're asking you to pardon him.
And many people have asked me to do this. I think he was treated very unfairly. And I looked at the records, studied the records, and he was a victim of a crime, as far as I'm concerned. So we're going to undo that.
No auto pen there, guys.
All right. That's Devon Archer. Congratulations, Devon.
Donnie Newman says business partner must have done some talking. I think you hit the nail right on the head there. I think there was some communication there, maybe an exchange. Hey, we'll give you a pardon if you tell us all the other Biden crime family crap that they did. Both Hunter and Archer are former Burisma board members. Coincidentally, Hunter Biden still can't get a job. Both made over $80K per month at one point while working for the company during Joe Biden's vice presidency. This is what the bank records show. Archer testified that former president had spoken with Hunter Biden's former business associates around 20 times and specifically described a spring 2014 dinner with Russia allergy and a spring 15 dinner with former president attending with Burisma executive. He's talking, guys. This guy is talking. Stacy says that's a good move. I'm glad Trump Devon, he shouldn't have been put in jail. James Biden was the ringleader on that one, Tyson. Okay. Oof. Steph says, I'm not saying he's a CI, but it feels a little CI. Yeah. Hunter screwed him. Donnie writes, but Hunter's an artist. That's funny.
Hunter Biden's former business partner, Devon Archer, joins me now. So what'd the president say to you?
Well, I'm not going to divulge the exact words that he said. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I have to say it was like a gladiatorial Rome because we were at the NCAA finals. The energy was incredible. And I had gotten word from my attorney earlier that the president was discussing this, and he had acknowledged that he was going to do it. But I was sitting in the audience across the arena, and I saw some Secret Service rumblings, and they walked across the arena like Caesar and essentially pointed out me and said, the president wants to speak to you himself. And so I jumped over the railing and walked over slowly and had about 6 minutes with the president where he gave me some very encouraging words. So I'm very hopeful for that.
You didn't think you'd ever need this because Joe Biden said he'd take care of you. Isn't that what he said?
Absolutely. Well, and so did Hunter. I mean, once a Biden, always a Biden. First of all, I didn't think I'd need this because I never did anything. I was a victim.
Once a Biden, always a Biden.
Of financial fraud in which I invested a lot of money and was taken down on a whistleblower that was blowing the whistle on Hunter.
So you were collateral damage.
Absolutely.
And you believe that the Biden-Obama justice people targeted you to keep Hunter out of trouble?
Well, I think that there's some heroic reporting from John Solomon that came out very, very recently, actually in like the last 2 years, where originally they were saying, listen, we're going to take care of you. But that reporting goes into FOIAs and finds, distinct emails from the Biden legal apparatus lobbying Preet Bharara to essentially put me in as the target and remove Hunter. So yes, I think it's, it's chronic of what that legal apparatus was, and I certainly was a victim.
Now Joe Biden wants to get back into the game. What does that even mean?
Well, I mean, I think that Sun Tzu says, always attack your enemy from the high ground and with the sun at your back. But he also says, don't mess around with your enemy when they're really messing up. So I think we can let him go with that.
Do you ever hear from Hunter? When's the last time you heard from him?
It's got to be 5 or 6 years ago.
Did you say, like, listen, buddy, I mean, we're in business together. What are you guys doing to me here?
I mean, I think it's in the laptop. It's all over. I mean, I think everybody has access in the world to what I said. I said, why is your father's apparatus, persecuting me? I don't understand this. You were in this deal with me. I did nothing. I made no money. I don't understand it. And he gave me a very, lofty answer about our justice system and its fairness. And that was absolutely inaccurate.
So how involved was Joe Biden in the Hunter business?
Well, Joe Biden was, he was the brand that we were selling. I think that was, it was a term that came to me looking into Jim Jordan's eyes in the congressional testimony, rolled his sleeves up even higher when I said that.
Big guy.
That was the brand. That was the access. That was what we did to, to find additional sources of capital or deal flow. So we were selling the Biden brand. I mean, I would say, at the end of a business meeting, I keep it at 20 so I don't perjure myself on the Fox News network. But Joe would end a meeting and say, you do a favor for me, you're my friend. You do a favor for my son, you're a friend for life.
So you understand.
Looks like they screwed that cat. Ricardo says, Devon better watch his back. Yep. He might go missing like an Epstein, right? Hunter learned how to paint from a monkey. That's funny. Everybody's saying Jill. I think Jill knows a lot more. Jill is the one of the cohorts on all this. Because Joe Biden wasn't coherent. Joe Biden didn't even know what was going on. Joe Biden didn't know what was going on. They were just using the Joe Biden brand. Little Santana, Devon's going to need Secret Service protection now. Yeah, they can just transfer it over from Biden, from Ashley and Hunter. Biden and Hillary are going to try to get him. Etod, the Biden family screwed that Native American nation for millions, and nobody said anything. How much did they take from them? How much did they take? Let me see. Hunter Biden. Little Santana, over $100 million. Yeah. Yeah, Devon's talking. Oh, man. Devon's talking. All right, next up, we got Donald Trump signs a memo declassifying Crossfire hurricane files. Don't forget to smash that like button if you kindly would. Donald Trump on Tuesday signed a sweeping presidential memorandum ordering an immediate declassification of all FBI files related to the now infamous Crossfire hurricane investigation, a probe that the 47th president has long described as political motivation and corrupt. This was totally weaponization. Crossfire hurricane investigation, which began in 2016 under Obama administration, became the centerpiece of year-long narrative pushed by Democrats and corporate press, claiming that Donald Trump colluded with Russia to sway the 2016 election. And Trump said, "Hey, we're going to release this crap." Donnie, the Clintons screwed the Houthis and nobody did nothing to them. You know, these guys, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Obama, they got a lot of power, but I personally feel that these folks need to be prosecuted or at least criminally investigated for their crimes. Coincidentally enough, Hillary had a server at her house and accidentally deleted all the emails with all the evidence on it. Come on, man. Etod, Dr. Jill, Joey, you did good. You did so good, Joey. Stacy writes, I just had an epiphany. I truly believe I'm watching the left totally eat each other. I agree. They don't have any quality leadership. They don't have any policies. All their policies got wiped out, heavily focusing on LGBTQ plus, heavily focusing on DEI. That's all that they had. It seems like they're trying to divide us when it's actually dividing them. Yep. There was a report, I think it was with Jasmine Crockett. Just let them talk, because they're going to talk themselves into a grave. What is up, Justin? Oh, Haiti. Sorry. Sorry, the font on the comments is a little small. Haiti. Sorry about that. Biden freed up money and then went to the Houthis. Biden funded them through the proxy. The reason the Clintons have so much power is they still use USAID. Mm-hmm. All right, so Donald Trump filed this memorandum releasing these declassified documents today. This is great.
Next, sir, we have a presidential memorandum for your attention. This memorandum requires the immediate declassification of all FBI files relating to the Crossfire hurricane investigation. This was obviously one of the instances of the weaponization of law enforcement powers of prosecution against you and others. We believe that it's long past time for the American people to have a full and complete understanding of what exactly is in those files.
Which gives the media the right to go in and check it. You probably won't bother because you're not going to like what you see. But this was total weaponization. It's a disgrace. Should never happen in this country. but now you'll be able to see for yourselves, all declassified. Is that correct? Would you
Yes, sir.
say? All declassified?
Yes, sir.
Everything?
The FBI file with there's a classified annex, but other than that, we'll put everything in the public eye.
Is anybody going to look? Huh? What about you? You gonna look? And frankly, the FBI should be ashamed of themselves, and so should the Department of Justice, and so should Biden.
Corrupt. Corrupt. Trump says he's going to put a 25% tariffs on countries that buy Venezuelan oil.
Today, President Trump threatened to place a 25% tariff on goods from any country that buys oil or gas from Venezuela. The president said the South American nation has been very hostile towards the U.S. Venezuela was one of the top foreign suppliers of oil to the U.S. last year, but Venezuela trails far behind America's top source of foreign oil, which is Canada.
Todd says we need some arrests. We do. We do. I want to see some arrests, man. I want to see some body cam footage of political folks getting arrested. It's great to know that we still have 4 years with our president. Yeah, absolutely. This is still 100 days in. We are still 100 days in.
25% tariff on any country that buys oil and gas from Venezuela.
What's up, Patrick?
The administration reports the Venezuelan government is sending gang members into the U.S. Here's Erica Brown.
The Trump administration says it's extraditing 3 Venezuelan migrants with alleged ties to the Tren de Aragua gang who were detained as part of the Alien Enemies Act.
We're getting the bad ones out first, and we're taking them out. And there's some really bad ones, murderers.
The administration is appealing a judge's temporary block of the president's use of the Alien Enemies Act, which allows for quick deportations without due process.
We're now not even just getting the worst of the worst out. We're making sure that there's consequences for being here and committing crimes in our communities.
Sunday night, the administration carried out more deportations directly to Venezuela without invoking the Wartime Act after reaching a deal with that country. During a cabinet meeting Monday, President Trump praised efforts to secure the southern border and to slash the size of the government.
Our country was riddled with fat, like no country probably anywhere in the world. And we're getting rid of the fat.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem announced plans to do away with the agency tasked with helping people after a natural disaster strikes.
We're going to eliminate FEMA. So we've got a lot to do.
The Trump administration is also appealing a court order to rehire more than 16,000 federal workers laid off during their probationary period, asking the Supreme Court to step in. Erica Brown, CBS News, the White House.
Nobody has been prosecuted yet regarding Etod's question regarding those leakers, those ICE leakers. I believe their Cash had said that they were going after, or not Cash, Bondi and Noem were going after individuals that were leaking, but I haven't heard any updates on that yet. Tom Homan also said that he's going to press charges on those leakers as well. Hopefully they're not using the Signal app to communicate, because apparently Signal can be infiltrated. What's up, Airdrie? Tyson, you said looks like the same dude with the mustache slapped on him. Yeah. Oh, man. Russell, they have some Tesla arrests. I want judges and feds who are corrupt to be in prison. Imagine that. Imagine. Trump said, I will be your retribution. And just like Etod said, he came out swinging and he's still swinging to the fences. And he's going to continue to swing throughout this whole time. Jessica Velasquez, ice leakers should go to Gitmo. Yep. Or at least get 20 years, like some of these folks that are the Tesla vandalisms. Data that usually warns of a recession has hit worst reading in 12 years. Here's the thing with this. The Trump administration acquired a crap show, an absolute crap show. The Biden administration did nothing. Conference Board Expectation Index has dropped to the lowest in 12 years, signaling recession concerns. There is going to be a little bit of a bump because we're fixing, the Trump administration is fixing all the bull crap, all the mess. It's like dating somebody with a lot of trauma. You got to deal. You got to figure it out. You got to work through it. Donald Trump and the administration acquired basically a failing, heading to bankruptcy business, the United States of America. And introducing these new initiatives like the gold card, which they sold 1,000 of at $5 million a pop, helps with this deficit. Getting all these illegals out helps. Spending all the illegal money on, or all these illegal migrants. What's up, Gina? All these, the migrant money and all this money just going everywhere into NGOs and all this other crap. It is an absolute crap show. So it is going to be a little bumpy.
The U.S. economy were dictated solely by how Americans feel about it, the U.S. would certainly be heading into a recession. The Conference Board's Expectations Index fell to its lowest level in 12 years. At 65 points, the board says it's well below the threshold of 80, which usually signals a recession ahead. That said, American expectations have been bouncing above and below this threshold for about 3 years. At the same time, consumer confidence fell for the fourth straight month. Much of that fall in March came from Americans ages 55 and older. More Americans expect higher interest rates and higher inflation over the next 12 months. That line of thinking is in line with Atlanta Federal Reserve President Raphael Bostic. He just told Bloomberg he changed his thinking from 2 rate cuts this year to 1.
I was one of those. So I was at 2. I moved to 1, mainly because I think we're going to see inflation be very bumpy and not move dramatically and in a clear way to the 2% target.
Bostic is not voting on policy moves this year. The Fed is still projecting 2 cuts in 2025. I want to bring in former Fed advisor and CEO of QI Research, Danielle DiMartino Booth. Danielle, we're just getting this news this morning about how consumers are feeling about the economy. What was your initial reaction to seeing those numbers?
It takes quite a bit to surprise me, and yet they really did take me by surprise. And I think the aspect in particular were the views on the job market going forward, and especially the outlook that U.S. households have for their income growth in the coming 12 months. And I think that this is kind of the area that is least understood right now by Fed officials. When you see a number completely collapse in terms of where consumers see their paychecks, right? It's their paychecks that dictate what they spend.
Here's the thing with this, okay? In the Biden administration, we dropped into recession. And then also there was significant inflation. So people couldn't afford groceries, they couldn't afford homes, they couldn't afford cars, they couldn't afford anything. Okay? The Trump administration has been bringing down grocery prices, pushing for Fed rate cuts. I personally think there might be 1 rate cut this year, and we're going to see some turbulence up until this time, April, May, June, until next year. This is just my personal thoughts on this. I think, the housing market is going to continue to stabilize. People currently are more optimistic in regards of consumer spending. They feel more optimistic about future. And this is based off of Trump's, yes, in some scenarios, Trump's approval rating has dropped. But those are individuals that don't see exactly what Steph is talking about. It takes time. Steph says, it takes time. I keep telling everybody, it was destroyed. We got to get rid of the waste, fraud, and abuse. Facts. It does take time. Todd said, everything that Trump touches has been fixed. Everything. Facts. If you look at Mar-a-Lago, when he purchased Mar-a-Lago, people were like, why are you buying this? I don't know what the annual revenue on Mar-a-Lago is, but he converted that into just a standard stay country club into a world-renowned place to live and associate. Catherine writes, the Biden administration did everything that they could to collapse the economy. You remember, those of you that have been on this channel for a while remember they were literally doing everything. Missile strikes, giving weapons to Ukraine. Zelensky's like blowing money on coke and weapons. The other day we found out that most of the weapons that were gifted to Ukraine were sold to the Mexican cartel. Yeah, Stacy writes, they sold 1,000 gold cards, 5 million a pop. I feel attacked. No, please don't feel attacked. But things will be great after the bump. Don't worry about it. Yes, 100%. 100%. I think it is going to be a little bumpy. Costs of goods are going to go down. Housing is going to stabilize. We've already seen some stabilization there. It's going to be good.
That he didn't make them equalize. And to this day, I said to him, you got to catch up, you got to equalize. But why are they in for $100 billion and we're in for possibly $350 billion? It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. And you could say more important for them because we have an ocean in between. So, you know, it's one of those things. You'll be seeing Liberation Day. I call it Liberation Day in America. You're going to be seeing it on April 2nd. Didn't want to do it on April 1st for the obvious reason, April 2nd. But you'll be seeing tariffs. And I think I've been very fair. I have them set. But I think I've been very fair to countries that have really abused us economically for many, many decades.
Mr. President, that information was not classified.
Another question,
Which is your national
please.
security
Go ahead.
advisor. Just following up on your comments on the economy, there is reporting that consumer confidence fell for the fourth straight month. What is your message to Americans who are concerned
Well,
about?
I know this, that for the first time in like 50 years, right track, wrong track, we're on the right track. And I think people see that. And if you look at prices are way down. You know, when I first came here, the first time I met with you people officially, they were screaming at me about eggs. I said, I've been here for a week and I'm being yelled at about eggs. Egg prices have come down 45, 50% in the last week and a half. And our Secretary of Agriculture has done a great job. As you know, Brooke, she's done a fantastic job, and others working with her have done a great job. But we brought eggs down at a level that nobody thought we could get at. I inherited that situation, and I inherited a grocery situation. The groceries went way up, an old-fashioned word, but it's a very descriptive word. Groceries have gone through the roof. And I used to campaign on it. I used to say, we're going to get groceries down, and we have got it down. I watched a certain newscast over the weekend, and a congressman, Democrat congressman, said, well, Trump's done a lot. I agree. He's been great on the border. He's been great on the military. But, you know, he hasn't brought prices down. That's false. Gasoline's way down. Eggs are way down. Groceries are down very substantially, but down. Almost everything's down. Now, I'd like to see interest rates come down a little bit. And you're going to see billions of dollars, even trillions of dollars coming into our country very soon in the form of tariffs, because we were abused by presidents that, frankly, in all fairness, it wasn't their expertise, but they had no idea what they were doing.
Mr. President, you say tariffs will create more jobs here in America.
Oh, yeah, sure. It's
Which
going to
states-
agree.
which
It'll create a lot of money and more jobs. But if you look, so in the last, these gentlemen would know about it, and ladies, because some of the ladies are great businessmen in this room that are becoming ambassadors. Great, really great, top of the line. When you look at the number of companies that have said, like, we're close to, I would say close to $4 trillion. We never had numbers like that. The number one chip maker in the world from Taiwan coming in with $200 billion. We have Apple. Look at Apple. $500 billion. $500 billion.
Hyundai.
Plants all over the United States. They were all being built in China. You have many, many companies, and maybe above all, you have the car companies coming in at levels that nobody's ever seen before. We have Honda is opening up one of the biggest plants in the world in Indiana, and many car companies are coming in. We have AI. We're leading China by a lot in AI, and we're going to keep it that way because we've made.
There wouldn't be so much business optimism with Biden or Kamala Harris. These companies wouldn't relocate. They wouldn't reopen up factories if they didn't trust the process. American manufacturing jobs are coming back. Etod says, I say groceries, his opinion, October 2025. Yeah. Where we're stable, where people can afford groceries again. The amount of companies, Airg says, the amount of companies, expansion and new investments by foreign companies is unprecedented. Never seen this before. The amount of companies that are investing in the United States again. Let me make sure I got all this chat. Housing overvalued in terms of pricing to income. Yep. Russell, good point here. Housing overvalued in terms of pricing to income by at least 30%. In some states, in some cities also, it's at 50, 80%. It is crazy. California, some parts of Las Vegas, it is absolutely crazy. So either income has to move up or prices come down for it to be normal. Eggs are down here by 25%. I live on the left coast. That's what Etod said. Jessica Velasquez says eggs are down too. Patrick Kennedy says, I may be an idiot, but I think the markets have been manipulated for the last 5 years. And we're seeing corrections now. I agree. I think they were trying to do the same thing with the Tesla stock. Nancy Pelosi said, hey, George Soros, George, Alex, let's cultivate riots. Let's do some protests on Elon Musk. We'll drop the stock, short it, and then it'll go up. They know what's going on. All right. Elon's still continuing to drain the swamp with the SBA loans. I don't know if you guys were here yesterday on the live, but Elon discovered a 9-month-old baby that got an SBA loan for $100,000, 9-month-old. It's absolutely bananas. It's crazy to me. But Elon is committed to continuing to drain the swamp. Oh, man. Let's jump into that.
What Doge and Elon Musk are doing there. It is slush funds. It is taxpayer subsidized career leftist bureaucrats slush funds like the USIP that are on the wrong side of the American voter. And yet again, Gabriella, we see that the left is forced to defend a fairly indefensible position, a position, mind you, that, as I just said, even a very left-wing judge like Beryl Howell actually ruled against.
I want to talk to you about accused pro-Hamas supporter Mahmoud Khalil, who you mentioned earlier. We're learning more about him, this detained Columbia University protester. The New York Post is reporting today that he hid his ties to UNRWA on his visa application. As we know, UNRWA was right with this. District Judge Beryl Howell denied a request from the agency to grant a temporary restraining order that claimed that Doge committed literal trespass and taking over by force. Now questions are being raised over what USIP could be trying to hide. USIP has around 300 employees, has a budget of $55 million a year. We know that it was established by Congress in 1984, and it claims that its mission is to prevent violent conflicts and broker peace deals abroad. This is, of course, despite the United States having been involved in numerous military interventions, prolonged wars, and the rising global instability in decades since then. It's hard to actually see what USIP has been able to achieve.
Well, it's funny that they only have a budget of $55 million or whatever the exact number is, because if you actually drive by the U.S. Institute for Peace, and I've driven by it any number of times, it's located right on Constitution Avenue. It's literally right off the National Mall. So if you've been a tourist in Washington, D.C., you're driving down Constitution Avenue, you're driving down Main Justice and the Federal Reserve, and then you see this mysterious building, U.S. Institute of Peace. What in the world is this there? And it turns out that this, like so many other alphabet soup agencies or alphabet soup NGOs that are funded by the taxpayer in Washington, D.C., it's just a bunch of deep state career leftist bureaucrats. That's basically all that's going on here, it turns out, at the U.S. Institute of Peace there. By the way, the judge...
All these beautiful buildings should be turned into veterans housing. Nancy Pelosi building should be turned into veteran housing. This is just my personal opinion. Dennis says, Tyson, if the Biden administration had won on prosecution on Trump and did bankrupt Trump, you bet the economy decline is unfathomable. 100%. 100%. Yeah, Russell writes, they used to like Elon Musk until he supported Donald Trump. Now they don't like EVs. So far left, fake environmental party. And guess who is a strict vegan? Me, 15 plus years, voted for Trump every time. Speaking of crazy liberals, we got Alex Stein on the 9-9. Here we go.
With libtards and wild. They draw with their chalk that they get at their arts and crafts store, and they LARP as some sort of political activist trying to save children. This is what they think matters. The way that they made this in some sort of transgender colors. These people are more interested in turning your kids into a homosexual than they are teaching them math problems. See, this is what a transgender looks like in the wild. You can tell by their hips, you can tell by their body shape. When did you start your transition, bro? Are you a boy or girl? Sir? See, they're androgynous. Androgynous. Fingernails are painted. Probably, definitely gay. She's just heavy set. Are you a virgin? You ever felt the warm embrace of another human being? Have you ever made like a bubble bath? You know, you go to Olive Garden and you get those breadsticks, and then when you take the breadsticks home, they get a little harder. You know what I mean? Can we have fun, guys? We're a pimp on a blimp. We're here trying to have some fun. These guys have no sense of humor.
Oh, what does the sign say? Musk, can you look us in the eye? This is crazy to me. Etod says, anyone who is against waste, fraud, and abuse, I will never understand. It is absolutely ridiculous to me. This is your taxpayer dollars. This is your taxpayer money, your hard-earned money. that they're saving. The waste, the fraud, the abuse, they're saving this money. It's not going into slush funds and unnecessary scientific research studies that have lasted 15 years without results. And they're saving this money. Why would you be upset about that? Makes no sense. Exactly. Todd. I want a bubble bath. Oh man. Let me make sure I got everybody in the chat. Cool. I want to give a shout out to the super chats. Thank you so much, Jax, for the super chat. Really appreciate you for the super chat. Thank you so much. Let me get my claps on. Hold on. Where's my claps at? Shout out to Jack for the super chat. Shout out to Stephanie for the super chat. Thank you so much. And shout out to Michael Anthony for the super chat as well. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you guys. So I hear Obama is seeing Hillary on the sly. That would be disgusting. That would be gross. I heard there's rumors that they're getting a divorce. Who knows? Who knows what's going on with them? Cool. Awesome, guys. I am gonna jump on out of here, but I want to give a huge shout out to the moderators in the chat. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for the moderators in the chat. Really appreciate you. And then shout out to everybody catching this on the live. For those of you that are catching this on the live, really appreciate you. And if you're catching this on the replay, type in replay in the comment section down below. And also, I'm going to place timestamps after this video is uploaded on YouTube, so you can jump back and forth through the different segments. I'll be back tomorrow at 6 p.m. PST. And by the end of the week, I'll make a decision on morning times. I know we did a vote yesterday on a morning live. So I'll make a decision on that by the end of the week. And what else? Oh, if you're not part of the Discord group, the Discord link is in the description down below. You can connect with these individuals that are in the chat right now on the Discord group. And we can continue the conversation on the Discord group. Stacy says, it was amazing. Aloha, Mr. Tyson. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, guys, I am going to jump on out of here. I really, truly appreciate each and every single one of you, because without this wouldn't be possible. I truly do appreciate you guys. Do me a favor on your way out. Smash the like button if you kindly would. And if you haven't subscribed and you feel called to subscribe, go ahead and do so. Drop your comments down below. Smash the like button. And yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next one. I'll catch you guys tomorrow, 6 p.m. PST. Chat soon.